The doors to the Viridian Tea House are open once more. Hello everyone, good to see you again. I hope you guys are doing well. I can't complain. So I have some upcoming news. I will be a vendor at Mile High Con next weekend, October 21st through the 23rd. I will put details on this particular video. So if you're in the Denver area next weekend and you want to check out a really cool convention, please stop by. This will be my first time attending Mile High Con, and I have to say that with the conventions that I've done so far in Colorado and in New Mexico, they've all been amazing and friendly people and friendly folks enjoying a little bit of sci-fi and fantasy. So looking forward to checking out Mile High Con. And while I'm at it, a big thanks to the people who did Earth Made at Aurora last Sunday. I did not realize that plant people in Denver took their plants seriously. I mean, it was really cool to attend that event as a vendor. What was interesting was that it was located on an area which is shared by like several colleges. So it had a very collegiate feel to it. But the church in which my tent was next to it, I walked inside and it was just nothing but plants as far as the eye could see. And but yeah, it was good music, good time. I met some really nice artists and vendors, and yeah, it makes me really want to get my green thumb back into motion, because right now it's just dead. It's like I'm trying, I really am trying. But once again, to the folks that hosted Earth Made at Aurora, thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you guys sometime very soon. All right, so without further ado, let's get started with the reviews. So the first comes from the Conrad Press in the UK. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate the books. And this is called Life in a Spin. And I'm really, really sorry, but I hope I don't pronounce your name incorrectly, but it's Nick Mylne or Mylne. I'm going to go with Nick Mylne. If that's incorrect, please, my apologies. So this is basically the riveting revelations of an international helicopter pilot. I will freely admit I know nothing about being a helicopter pilot, so I'll read the back of it for you. This beautifully written, funny, and highly entertaining book gives the reader a unique insight into what it's like to be a military and commercial helicopter pilot. We made brief and joyous visits to Jamaica, Syria, Iran, Germany, Oman, Yemen, the North Sea, Sweden, and Saudi Arabia. We lived through 2 wars, and we meet VIPs and heads of state. Highly experienced helicopter pilot Nick Mylne constantly dazzles and entertains with his recollections of his professional life in a spin. He spent 30 years flying in the commercial and military worlds. This was followed by 20 years teaching aviation law and human performance and limitations at Oxford Aviation and L3 Harris Aviation Academies. Nick, who is married and has 5 children, speaks, reads, and writes Arabic. Wow. So, this book it's really slender, but don't let that fool you. This is full of stories and anecdotes and really, really highs and really lows and some humorous moments. But this is a world that I don't think a lot of people know about. And to be quite honest, like when I got the book, I was like, okay, I'm branching into new territory. I don't know anything about being a helicopter pilot. I will say though, Nick, if you're watching this, my all-time favorite story was the one where you went to Jamaica. Loved it. But yeah, it was, if you are looking for like new material to read on, a new subject to read about, or just to read about a human being whose life is quite not normal, then you need to read Life in a Spin. And for this, I give it Viridian Tea House's 4 Pots of Tea. Thank you. The only reason why I didn't give it 5 was, again, a lot of the jargon and terminology, which he does explain, a lot of it kind of went over my head, and I was like, I'm just gonna keep reading. So the book itself was not bad at all. I truly did enjoy reading about a helicopter pilot who used to be in the military and all that sort of thing. But actually, there was one other thing. I kind of wish that he had talked a little bit more about his life outside of being a helicopter pilot, just to kind of round it out a little bit. Again, the book was well written, thoroughly enjoyed it, and also too there are illustrations by Peter Lloyd, which kind of added to the humorous aspect of the book. But I really did enjoy reading Life in a Spin, and thank you so much, Nick, for sending me a copy of your book. Thank you. So the next book is not a book, and there's a story behind it, like there always is. So when I was at Bubonicon, there was a vendor to the left of me who basically had a garage sale of sorts. In short, she had collected and accumulated a lot of ephemera and books and posters and whatnot, and the money was going to go to a charitable organization. So I was like, okay. So I loaded up on a lot of Sherlock Holmes merchandise. She gave me some books. And then on Sunday, she gave me a couple of chapbooks. And I was like, oh, okay, sure, I'll read anything. So this particular one just kind of sat in a pile. And that's my own fault. However, something inside of me said, why don't you take a look at that? Take a look at this one. And I did. And it blew me away. And I immediately followed the author, and I need to listen to his music. So before I go any further, it is called How to Enjoy Dance by Nick Jaina. And this was printed through On Fingertips Press, whom I actually found on Instagram, and now we follow each other, and I looked at her other chapbooks and whatnot. Beautiful work. This was not, I didn't know what to expect with reading this. And yet, this is one of those kinds of pieces of literature, just something where you get to see the inside of a mind, and what comes out is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So let's see. Let's see. So basically, he is, I was going to read a little bit of it, but you know what? I'm just like, why don't you go and try and find a copy of it? From what I understand, there were only 200 of these printed, and mine is number 182. If you go to On Fingertips Press, and I'll put the link on the video, they have an Etsy store, and I think there are about 5 more copies left of How to Enjoy Dance. But it's simply how to enjoy dance, how to see a creative form and how to process it, and then what comes from that processing. But it was just a beautiful work to read. And it'll take you just a few minutes, but after reading it the first time, I sat and I just let it linger. I let the words linger. I didn't just say, okay, next book. I really wanted to think about what I just read. You know what? I think I will read a part of this. Let's see. I'll just pick a random spot here. Well, I'll just start at the beginning. A very good place to start. You can relax in the knowledge that this dance is here for you to enjoy. It is not here to alienate you or to make you feel bad for not understanding it. It wants to be understood. That you might find it pretentious or obtuse is natural, but don't let that first impression stop you from pushing further towards understanding. Find one beautiful thing and focus on that and enjoy it. This can't be hard. There is so much happening to enjoy. Pick one thing to dig on and just dig on it for as long as you like. And from what I understand in looking at his website, this was part of a dance recital that he had choreographed or done the music for or something like that. But I don't need to see the dance. Just reading this on its own it's one of those pieces of work where you think, why aren't more people reading this? Why aren't more people, screaming at the tops of mountains saying, you need to read this book? I truly did enjoy it. And I've always appreciated dance in all of its forms, from ballet to jazz to freestyle, what have you. But this book, this chapbook, it just kind of blew my mind a little bit more. It's like, oh, well, just take a couple of steps back. So you see what you're seeing, but take a couple of steps back and really take in what's going on around you. So Nick, if you are watching this video, thank you so much. I thank you. And I'm looking forward to purchasing your other book. I think it's called Spectrum, but I'm looking forward to reading that. So How to Enjoy Dance by Nick Jaina gets 5 pots of tea from Viridian Tea House. Thank you so much for a beautiful and touching work. And thanks to the folks at On Fingertips Press for releasing this as well. Thank you. So, checking my time there. Okay, good. So my final book review, I actually wasn't going to review it, but I thought, okay, confession. I was actually going to review 2 other books today, but unfortunately I don't have the final component to do that video. So that video is going to be next week. So, but yeah, this particular book, I read it, devoured it because I love the author, but I wasn't planning on reviewing it. And I thought, yeah, review it, because that's the point of Viridian Tea House. I know that there are a ton of book reviewers out there, a ton of readers, ton of writers, and we're all talking about certain books, and we're all like, recommending this or recommending that. And this is what I'm trying to do with this little YouTube channel. I want to recommend books that I've come across, and they touched me in a certain way, and I just want to share it with you guys. So, Lemony Snicket. I love Lemony Snicket. I read a series of Unfortunate Events. I read the entire series, and I loved it. It was slightly gothic, slightly steampunk, slightly puzzling, slightly strange and unusual, but a series that will always be with me in my black heart. But from there, I wanted to read his other works as well, and read something else it had me chuckling a lot. Actually, his newest one, Poison for Breakfast. If you like Lemony Snicket, you really need to read Poison for Breakfast, because you'll be scratching your head a little bit, but then you're like, but this is Lemony Snicket. Just go with the Snicket. Just go with the Snicket. So I'll read the inside of it for you. Inside this book is a wide variety of inescapable truths, alarming thoughts, and dubious advice gathered from the books, unpublished papers, and private conversations of Lemony Snicket, made pleasing to the eye by illustrations, select fan art, and design flourishes. Lifelong readers of Mr. Snicket have found his work absurd, distressing, and difficult to believe. To avoid these feelings, avoid these pages. And then the bio. Lemony Snicket is the author of many books, including those in A Series of Unfortunate Events and All the Wrong Questions. A lifelong resident, he now divides his time and is currently at work. But these are just, well, like they said, there's illustrations from fans, from the books, from whatnot, along with just various quotes by Mr. Snicket. Let's see if there were a couple that just made me chuckle so much. Let's see. Oh, where's one? I'm just going to pick some random ones. Anyone who thinks the pen is mightier than the sword has not been stabbed with both. I love that one. That made me crack up. What's another good one? Oh, this one. The sea is nothing but a library of all the tears in history. I say, bravo. What's another good one? Oh, there was one that just made me laugh so hard. Oh, here we go. If an optimist had his left arm chewed off by an alligator, he might say in a pleasant and hopeful voice, well, this isn't too bad. I don't have my left arm anymore, but at least nobody will ever ask me whether I am right-handed or left-handed. But most of us would say something more along the lines of, ah, my arm, my arm. I don't know why. That's one of my favorites. Oh, let's see. Oh, and one more. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Normally, it is not polite to go into somebody's room without knocking, but you can make an exception if the person is dead or pretending to be dead. That's just some of the illustrations. But yes, I love Lemony Snicket. I've always loved his work. It just I needed this badly. Oh, and also, as always, shout out to Arapahoe Libraries. Thank you for letting me check this out. Thank y'all for having this book. And for Read Something Else by Lemony Snicket, it gets 5 pots of dubious tea. Very dubious, very dubious. Oh, so that is part of, that's the book portion done. Ooh, what a wide variety of books. So now let's get to the tea part. And before I talk, well, I'll talk about the tea with an introductory story. So back in 2019, I think it was 2019, I attended a tea festival in Pasadena, California. And I'd never been to Pasadena, and I was like, well, you know, while I'm here, I'm just going to enjoy the sights of Pasadena, California. And one particular place I went to was the Huntington, which, if you've never heard of it, wow, it is a botanic garden and then some. Absolutely beautiful. Well, I got there like the last hour and a half before they closed. So I kind of did like a marathon walk through the entire area. But it went from California desert to Japanese town to Chinese area to Australian outback to whatever you can think of as a botanic garden and then some. The Huntington was very much that. And it stayed with me for quite some time. So I just happened to look them up online, and I went to their online shop, and they actually have their own teas. They had a couple of blends, and so I was like, ooh, lovely. So I ended up getting the Huntington Blend, and it is done through what's called the Art of Tea. But look at that canister. Isn't that just darling? So the Huntington Blend, medium caffeine. It's a black tea blend with floral, citrus, vanilla notes. And the ingredients are black tea, organic green tea, jasmine flowers, organic marigolds, natural flavors, and bergamot oil. So for this, I forgot it was a black and green tea. They did suggest to let it steep for about 3 to 5 minutes. So I let this steep for 5 minutes, and I actually got the water to right when it started to boil. And as soon as I started to see the bubbles, turned it off, added the tea leaves, let it steep for 5 minutes. And let me tell you something, in opening up this canister, my first sniff, it literally relaxed me. Like my entire body just went like this. I was like, oh my God. Oh, this is bliss. This is truly bliss. So this is what the tea looks like after being steeped for about 5 minutes. And I know the video doesn't really do it justice, but it is a deep brown, reddish color. But the scent, oh, it's paradise. And this smells like me walking through the Huntington. Huntington. So whoever came up with this blend, they must have walked through the gardens, because this is spot on in terms of at least my experience for walking through the Huntington. So, and I got myself a new cup today. Well, not today, but I'm using a new cup for this. So without further ado, let's give it a shot. So in the first sip, and I actually let this cool down, so who knows what kind of flavors were rising to the surface as it was a little bit hotter. But I'm definitely getting the vanilla, and let's see here. I'm getting the black and the vanilla. There's some kind of fruity essence, and I'm wondering if that's the natural flavors or not, if they just kind of put in different flavors together and just called it natural flavors. But I will admit, though, the mouthfeel, it's drying my mouth out a little bit. Like it's just kind of, because like some teas where it feels like just like silk, and it moisturizes the mouth. The very mouth feel after sipping the tea is very, luxurious and wet and inviting. This, it's inviting, but my tongue feels very dry after each sip. I am not one of those kinds of people that will put milk in my tea. I've done it once, and I think I messed up on it. I just don't really care for milk in my tea. But I'm wondering if milk would actually make this a lot less dry, because like I said, my tongue feels very dry right now. The rest of my mouth feels very wet and, like a mouth should, but the tongue is very dry. This is interesting. But still, I am more in love with the scent than the taste. Interesting thing. I love to smell this Huntington Blend. It's a beautiful, decadent, like I said, walking through their gardens smell. But the taste is good, but it wouldn't be a go-to for me. Oh my gosh, should I actually say that? But I mean, it's quite good, and I'm very glad that I purchased this tea. I'm very, very glad. But it's not one where I would want to drink on a constant basis. Like I would drink this like every so often, because the biggest put off for me right now is the fact that my tongue, every time I take a sip, my tongue feels really dry. This is interesting. But that's the point of a tea review. Not every tea is going to jive with you. Some teas you're just like, oh my God, I just can't put it down. I just want to make pot after pot after pot. And then other teas you're like, not really. I'm not really digging it that much. But like I said, it smells divine, but the taste is it's drying out my tongue, and I don't like that sensation. So, but once again, thank you to the Huntington for having this blend, and I'm very glad that it is a part of my tea collection. But like I said, I won't be brewing it as much. So, all right, well, that's all I have for right now. So let's wrap up with a tea meditation. So I hope you have your cup of your favorite tea, or you can have water or nothing at all. Find a comfortable seat. My tongue is still kind of dry, and it's kind of hard for me to talk. Find a comfortable spot to sit in, or standing, or lying down. And we're going to take 2 deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, and then close our eyes or softly focus on an object in front of you. We're going to breathe for a number of counts. And if you find yourself running away with thoughts and thinking, oh my God, did I put the laundry away? You know, did I get the cat food? Just stop, softly label thinking, and just let it go by. It'll still be there when you're done. And then after a couple of counts of breath, then we will end it with another deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth, and then have a sip of our tea. So if you're ready, let's begin. And now, as we come to the end of this meditation, take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Slowly open your eyes or focus, and we're back. Much thanks to Nick Jaina, Nick Mylne, I'm so sorry if I'm getting your name wrong, and also Lemony Snicket, and to the Conrad Press for the books, also to the Huntington for the Huntington Tea Blend, and for you guys just watching these videos. I truly do appreciate it. Thank you as always. And I'd like to end with cool thing that Kimberly discovered. So I want to talk about, so my boyfriend and I got to see Dracula put on by the Colorado Ballet this past weekend. From what I understand, the shows are all sold out. I think so. Oh my goodness. You know, I love ballet, part of how to enjoy dance. Thank you, Nick Jaina. But this ballet took my breath away. I think when we were there, they had 3 separate acts, but during the intermission, you could feel this collective breath as everybody exhaled, because it was fantastic. It was riveting. The gentleman who portrayed Dracula was fantastic. And of course, everything else, it was ballet. I mean, it was just beautifully dark and disturbing, and I hope Bram Stoker I hope he enjoyed that version of his book. It was priceless. It really was. So until next time, I say to you, take care of yourself and each other. Thank you again for watching these silly videos of mine. Raise your teacup high, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.